So one of the goals is fully understand what they are first expecting, and then with our knowledge and experience, build on top of that and show them, this is what you were looking for, but wait, I can give you much more than that.
Welcome everyone, this is MTech Podcast. My name is Nikolai Shitikhin and I have Jim Johnston with me, and today we have a very special guest here, Ercole Di Feliciantonio, one of the senior project managers at MTech. Hi guys.
Hi, Nick. Hi, good morning, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
Good, great.
Yeah, hey Ercole, really pleased to have you on the podcast this week. 15 years in MTech and Senior Project Director, so we're looking forward to a chat.
I'm looking forward to all your questions and to have some fun.
All right, but today we're not going to talk about Italian Football League, unfortunately, but we'll talk about chicken, we'll talk about some ducks maybe turkeys, all things poultry and all things software. But the first question I always have is how you started with this industry, how the road take you here, how and why you keep on staying in the poultry industry for so many years.
So it's an interesting story because I think, there is not really a place where this started. It's more of an evolution within my family. I come from a family that is originally from the center of Italy, and my grandfather used to own a feed mill. And he was, distributing the feed in the area and the region of, the center of Italy. And then evolving, my first experience with, with chickens, with poultry was when I was a kid. And, my grandmother, I grew up in a city, I grew up in Milan. But every summer, we were moving for a couple of months on the countryside. And my grandmother, who she was, a farmer, she used to have, a flock, let's call it a flock, was something as, scientific and as, business-wise like it is, nowadays. But she used to have her 60, 80 chickens in her barn. And of course, these chickens they were used, to collect the eggs in the morning, to, prepare breakfast. And that was really my first, experience with chickens. And I was the little kid, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, getting inside the barn, collecting the eggs, and bringing the eggs to my grandmother for breakfast.
Wow, that's tremendous, eh? Great experience from an early age, huh? And tell us a little bit more about, project director. You're obviously in control of implementations and software projects around the world, but you've got a team of people that work with you. Explain how all of that works, Ercole.
Yes, we have, we work very well as a team. Our culture within the company is, is a teamwork. Within the team, of course, we have different levels. We have, what we call consultant level 1, level 2, senior consultant, team leaders. But literally, depending on the project is how we allocate, the correct resources. But we try to be almost, everybody involved in, many projects. Myself, I love to be, not in the super mega details in the project, but to know always what is going on. So the team is a very good team. It's an expression of people coming from the industry, so already having this background knowledge, and people coming from, more of a technological background, coming from, a computer science degree, engineering degree, or things like that, and coming within MTech, and learning the software and the industry at the same time. One of the beauty of our companies during the training, we like to bring people to farms. We have, quite a few customers, partners, close by our main offices. So one of the things that we do, we talk with them, and they help us to take all new people or all, project manager, project consultant, to see the actual facility so they know hands-on what they are talking about and what they are learning in the software. The software knowledge in our company almost becomes a secondary tool to the work that we're doing. One of the key in our implementation in our relationship with the customer is that we like to say we speak chicken. We understand, their terminology. We know their business before going into the software.
Right. That's really interesting. And being really hands-on, being like always with the customer, with the implementations. Now world is a little bit different. We can't travel. The borders are shut down, and it's actually quite dangerous to travel still. So how do you manage all the implementations, and how that affected your team now? Everybody has to work from home, and you can't really meet face to face. Does that affect implementation somehow?
100%. I think, what happened this year in the world with the COVID-19 has been kind of a speeding up a process that sooner or later was going to happen, which is working more remotely. Working, you just say, you cannot work face to face. I think our concept of face to face has changed. Right now we are in a call and we are face to face. It's just that we're using a camera instead of, being in the same room. Say that one at the beginning, we were all very worried about, how do we carry the project? How do we keep going with the implementation? Because even though technologically we are ready, even though in a certain way we were already doing it, for us was like, hold on a second, now we need to do everything remotely. And being honest with you, after, I would say 1 month of, getting used to, now we have all our check-in places, and it's working actually very well. It's working very well because what is forcing us and the customer to do is to optimize the time that we spend together. So we don't waste time on traveling. We don't waste money on traveling. And we focus whenever, sometimes happen to us, we go to a customer for 1 week, but, we find out the person we need to work with is really available only 3 days. So there is a couple of days where, we try to figure out what to do on site. In a certain way, customer is spending money for having us on site. We are kind of, I don't want to say waste because it's not the right word, but, we have a resource that could be working on something else, but is, on site waiting for something to happen. Now working remotely will happen. All the time is fully allocated by us and the customer and the users that are needed. So we optimize the time that we spend together, us and the customers. Of course, we have to put some more checks in place. Let me give you an example. One of the projects that, is going very well, and I use it as an example going forward, is a project where we were doing implementation online, but then what we do, we have connection to the server, we have connection to the database. So our job become a little bit more also checking that customer is doing everything on a timely manner. While before what we're doing, we're going on site, doing our training, and then, every once in a while checking with somebody there because, we're like, we did our job. Now what we do, our job becomes also following up on the data in the customer. So what happened? We teach the customer how to use a breeder module, a hatchery module, but then we check on the following weeks very constantly if they're entering data, how is the data. So our job became more, we do the training and we check, we help you, making sure you're keeping up the system initially. So it's working very well. I see the response from the customers is being good. They accept even when we check the data, they accept us writing them and say, hey, you guys are behind. What is going on? Can we help you with something? While before, being on site face to face and then kind of, try to follow up through maybe different channels, we were look at almost like we were an outsider, I want to say kind of bothering them. Now it's more like, yes, they're here to help us, also remotely, because we are in all the situation together. So it's working very well. I see again, customer responding, better to all this implementation, having to allocate resources in the right moment, and everything is doing good. On my side, due to my position, one thing that I'm liking a lot about, the way we're implementing is that I can easily participate and on the same day to multiple project implementation and help my team and making sure that everything goes in the right way, because in the morning we may be working with a customer in Asia or in Saudi Arabia and implementing with them. Around lunchtime, we've been working with a customer maybe on West Coast in the United States. And later in the afternoon, we're implementing a customer here on the West Coast. So this will help us to organize ourselves, help me on my job to make sure everything is always aligned so I can be myself involved in more details in the project. And let me add, we all love traveling, love seeing new places. But it's also true that not traveling, it's also helping us to be more focused. Often when we do a long trip, we need to deal with, jet lag and things like that. So we're not that fresh when we go there. We're not that fresh when we come back. Like this, we're always, on our best, shape and behavior.
So you always now laser focus and have more control. But do you think it will stay like that, or you will come back to the traveling again?
As I mentioned before, I think this, what happened with the COVID-19 is speeding up a process that was going to happen anyway. So are we going to go back like before? I don't think so. Are we still going to travel? I think so. But our travel is going to be more focused on big milestones, focused on big, target goals that we need to accomplish. Let me give an example. We do, even though we're doing them very well, even remotely right now, something like a pre-implementation in the future is something that maybe is still going to be face-to-face, not because it's not going to work well. It's working very well right now, but especially if it is a new customer and new people, I always like, one of the things that I like is to get the human, emotion in the middle. So being face-to-face at the beginning of a project help me and all the team, and when I say all the team is the MTech team and the customer team, to know each other and to build a chemistry. Then after that, working remotely on most of the tasks, it will make perfect sense, save money to the customer, save, the hassle to do all the trips and etc. But then there are going to be some key trips, go live, or a big, accounting implementation, integration. I still foresee some of these trips to happen, face-to-face.
Yeah, hey, that's really interesting. Turning a pretty negative situation into a positive one in terms of the way we change your practices on an implementation. What makes a successful implementation from your point of view, Ercole? What are the successful ones and why? What are the key issues?
So let's go to the end goal that we see in our implementation. The end goal of the implementation is to improve the data that is available to the customers to take decisions, and to get the customer to believe and fully rely on our system. And I add another thing that is almost a sales thing, is that having the customer so happy that whenever they talk with their, even the competitors or their colleagues on another company, they're going to tell them MTech is the solution. So this is the end goal, and this is what makes a project successful as a result. How do we get there? How do we get there is a different situation. We get there in different ways. One way is, again, once you build the chemistry between the team in MTech and the team on the customer side, and we all work toward the same goal, it's much easier to get to the end result. One key thing is to understand since the beginning, once the customer buys the product, they don't know the full potential of the product, and they have some ideas of what they want to get out of the system. So one of the goals is fully understand what they are first expecting, and then with our knowledge and experience, build on top of that and show them, this is what you were looking for, but wait, I can give you much more than that.
All right. That's quite a good goals and the way we accomplish them. But this is from our standpoint, from MTech standpoint. But what customer can do, what kind of actions or qualities they can bring to the project in order to make it successful from their end as well, so they can really say that this is a successful project?
So to make it successful, well, the goal is the customer needs to be aligned and putting the right resources into the project. One thing they need to do is to come from above and say, this is the system we're going to use. This is happening. Let's all get to work to make it happen. That's one thing, which means it's going to bring me to what is normally the most difficult situation in a project, change management. The help that we will need from the customer is we are always going to encounter some resistance, always. Just because there is a person that did the job and did it well for 20, 30 years using, for example, Excel, it doesn't want to get and say, use the program that is going to do something similar, better than what I do because I'm accustomed to use my Excel. My Excel is easy for me. So we need the customer to help us in the kind of situation because in our case, being still an external consultant, don't always we have the kind of leverage to all the users to make sure they are on board. And the other thing is, I say, putting the resource in place to make it happen. I mentioned before that sometimes when we were going on site, we're going on site for 5 days, but really the people were available for 3 days, 2.5, 4. What we need to make sure that when we set the time, when we set the training, people are available. The other thing that we will need is to be aligned with the customer and the customer being, open up and clear and say, this is the end result that I want. And the end result can be a set of high-level reports. Now, we all know that the set of high-level reports means there is a lot of work that we need to do to get to the level of the reports. Once we have cleared the targets and we agree with the customer, this is our target, then we make sure to happen.
Well, hey, that's really good, man. And just to wrap up, Ercole, it's been great talking to you. And it's an interesting journey. 15 years in MTech and senior project director, and you've got a fair amount of experience at different projects around the world. So it's been fun talking to you. From a 5-year-old in your grandmother's yard with the 60 chickens. That's a real connection to the industry. And I guess the other point too is that knowledge that you've gained in 15 years and the team. You talked about your team having worked in the industry, and some of them are software people, but there's a real mix of poultry industry and software expertise. And that's what MTech, I guess, is all about. And then talking a wee bit about what some of the key success factors for an implementation. Really good to hear, what makes a successful project, and the fact that you're turning COVID-19 pandemic into a positive in terms of you're remote from the customer, but you're actually closer to them because, you've got much more effective interaction. You're in amongst their numbers, on their server, in their database, helping them and helping train their people. So it's nice to turn that negative, which is the pandemic, round into a positive solution for your customers and for MTech. So thanks very much for today. We really enjoyed talking to you. It's been great.
Thank you for having me, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, and like we say, once with chicken, forever with chicken. And for those who don't want to miss our new episodes, please follow us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram. And of course, check out our website or request a demo.
Do it. And we'll see you next week, Nick.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.